Welcome to Kicking It with Sensei, and today we're joined by Larry Koopman from the Martial Arts Age.
Thank you so much for
welcome,
having me.
Larry. It's a pleasure to have you back on.
It is always great to be able to talk some martial arts with good people. So
Yeah, definitely. And topic of discussion today is these things here, the
the
COVID black
belts.
belt, controversial subject.
Yes, it
by
is.
many needs. So I'm trying to take a non-controversial view on it.
Good luck.
This could be an interesting discussion. But
I think so many people have such a very rigid idea of the black belt. So
yeah.
Anytime we get to talk about black belt, it's fun. So
my view on it is, like, I do think it's very important, and I think a lot of people think you should be able to fight if you have a black belt, where I think it's a personal achievement to yourself. And the battles come in many forms. You've got your mental health battles with health, such as weight loss or things like that. So I think if someone goes through those goals and reaches their black belt and kind of smashes through their goals, it's very important to them.
Absolutely.
I think that should be respected. And
absolutely,
it doesn't mean they're going to go on and, I don't know, beat Conor McGregor in the UFC, but it's a big achievement in their life, and I think
absolutely
be respected for that. But black belt tests, can you remember your first Dan test? And
yes, I can. I will never forget it, ever. My first black belt test, it was a whole bunch of height, and it was for me, I loved it. It was just me in a room with 4 of my instructors, and they tortured me for 9 hours straight. Everything from the taking hits to the body, and I was, man, at the time I was young. I was a little teenager, and a cocky little teenager. So I think they did it to humble me a little bit. Yeah. But and then my first one was definitely one that I will never ever forget. And I don't necessarily, and I don't do that for my students today. I don't test them the same way. So it's crazy.
I know my own first one. Our instructors were quite mean at times, and they had this whole closed door kind of thing, but it was more just to make you nervous coming up to it. And a few of us would have graded, and it lasted for 2 days, so 8 hours each day.
Yeah.
On a Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know if you've ever been to Ireland, but it's a lot of hills.
I want to come.
And on the Sunday, it's probably the steepest hill I've ever came across in Ireland. It's just straight up the side of a mountain.
Oh my gosh.
And they took us out there, and again, it was just to make us nervous. We all thought we had to run up. But it just turned out it was actually where our founder's ashes were spread, so they took us out there as a kind of a mark of respect to him. But it's a great spot because it does really make everyone nervous.
Yeah,
especially when they've done 8 hours of sparring and all the rest the day before, and they really don't want to be there on a Sunday morning.
No. That's really cool though. I mean, the test had something that would really pay respect to your lineage in the martial arts. I think that's one thing that a lot of most modern martial arts schools nowadays don't do. We always talk about changing the traditions of martial arts, but you'll never know where you're going if you don't know the point of origin, where you came from. Honoring your teachers, honoring your teachers' teachers, where you came from, the roots back in martial arts. And that's a lot of history that I think nowadays young martial artists don't see. I was at the Battle of Atlanta, really huge tournament, one of the biggest tournaments in the United States. And there was this, it was a big deal because it was like the 50th anniversary of the battle. And there was martial arts legends everywhere. It was Grandmaster Pat Burleson was standing right there. I mean, it was absolutely amazing to see all these legends of the martial arts, people that you and I kind of grown up through the arts just admiring, and who really pioneered what it is to be a martial artist today. And these young kids walking around, just walking right past them, not knowing who they are. That's like it was heartbreaking. I'm walking around because, you know, I was one of the on the executive team there, and it was like I'm like geeking out because it's just so cool to see all these amazing martial artists in a room, so humble, watching competition, just kind of like giving little pointers and just being in their element, which is it's just it's awesome. So
Definitely. No. It's funny. It just brings a story to mind there. I remember when I was interviewing Benny the Jet,
oh
and I actually told my kids' class, and they asked, "Was he a martial artist?" And I thought, "Oh,
oh oh,
it was, it
oh
was,
man.
it was such a shock that none of the kids knew who he was,
Oh,
and then he pulled up the scene of him fighting Jackie Chan, and all of a sudden they all remembered who he was. But
oh yeah.
it's
Not
he's
to
done.
mention he's one of the most prolific martial artists around today. I mean, that guy is just he's done everything, and he's so humble. When you meet him, he just wants to share, and
Yeah,
that's awesome. He's good people. So
definitely. And I'm sure you've given out black belts to students over the years. And is there anything in particular that you look for in a student when you're giving them that black belt?
yeah, you know, like you said, black belt's one of those weird topics. You know, it can get very controversial really fast. I always tell people, especially when I'm talking with other martial arts schools, it's like your black belt is kind of like your representation of your school. Like when you say, "This is my school. This is my goals for my school." Some schools are going to be competition-based schools. Other schools are going to be more of the personal development type of schools. You'll have more self-defense type of schools. So a black belt should encompass everything that you are trying to produce. That's really kind of like, and I'll say this kind of facetiously, it's the entry level.
Yeah,
You know, when it's white belt, you're just kind of white belt to black belt is your orientation. And then once you get the black belt, now you kind of understand this is the feeling of the school. This is the production that we're doing. We're producing you into somebody who's either an amazing world-class competitor, B, somebody who knows how to deal with self-defense, or C, somebody who's, you know, confident, who's going to be a productive member of society. So with my school, it's kind of the same thing. My black belts are, they have a well-rounded, but I want them to, I never want any one of my students going through life doubting themselves. I never want them thinking that they can't do something. You know, the world's going to be full of people telling you can't do something. So, you know, we're cultivating just a real strong, positive attitude, a really good, strong self-esteem. They're going to know awesome self-defense. I'm the head of the Goju Shori system. And so Goju Shori system is a very self-defense driven system.
yeah,
And there's a branch of it that's a very competitive system. I focus on the self-defense. So my students know stand-up, boxing. They know how to grapple. They know how to throw, sweep, takedown. But they also know how to avoid a situation. So
yeah.
all of those things are encompassed in my black belt training. And my black belt test is a 9 to a year long test. So it's a fun test.
Definitely, definitely. No. And I think our system's very similar now. We're very lucky that we have a number of instructors in a small area running
Yeah.
different dojos, but we do mix about. Like I come from a very sort of competitive background. There's others that come from a more personal development kind of,
Uh,
and the system was originally self-defense. So with us moving around, students are getting a good mix of everything,
yes,
and it's good to offer them different instructors to suit their
absolutely.
individual needs, I suppose. And I think the instructors are learning a lot from each other as well, which is great.
Absolutely.
It's I know
Now,
I came from a very big fighting background, and I know a lot of the instructors have pushed me towards personal development to get.
do you have, do all your instructors in the area work together?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so amazing. See, over here in the States, and we have that here in the States too, but a lot of instructors are like, no, my Kung Fu is better than yours. And, you know,
yeah,
back away, we're a competition, you know, I can't talk to you. It's just like, oh, I, there's in Nevada, there's coalition of martial artists that would get together each month, that would train together, and they would just bounce to each individual school.
Yeah.
And the West Coast martial arts area is so much stronger. And I believe a lot of it is because of that mentality. There's schools that will travel from California to Nevada to Washington just to train with each other, and they support each other's tournaments. And so the competitive scene out there is just so much stronger. I wish we had more of that here. So
Yeah,
it's tough.
we're very lucky to get now. I know we're sort of in a very rural part of Ireland, so our clubs were kind of the original martial arts that kind of came into this area, and a lot of the guys that have came through our clubs have went on and done other systems. I know there's Hallie and Gracie affiliate
Yeah,
just in the next town, and the instructor is actually a past student of ours.
nice.
So it's very tied in together, and a lot of us would go down and train with them quite regular. But
Awesome cross
usually,
training.
usually get our ass kicked by the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys on the ground, but we're learning.
What can you do?
That's what it's all about now. But I liked how you said the black belt is the kind of the beginning of it. It's because I think I got a big shock. I was always obsessed with getting the black belt, and when I finally got it, I realized, hold on,
Yeah. Well, what next?
everyone I'm training with now is actually third, fourth, fifth dan. The black
Yeah.
belts for years, and I'm kind of realized I'm kind of bottom of the pile again here after years of training. But it's fantastic to have that kind of progression through it, martial
Yes.
arts, I suppose. And
I always look at it like, as you progress, it's not like there's only so many techniques you can learn,
yeah,
right? There's only so many kicks you can throw, only so many punches. And when you're younger, I don't know if you've gotten to this time yet, but as you can see, the hair is getting a little gray, but my kicks aren't going as high, the flashy stuff that I used to do, the tornado kicks, they don't come as easy anymore. But I always find it that, it's not the amount of stuff I'm learning now. I'm now taking this stuff like, a down block, and I love, there's a book called 75 Down Block, which is just 75 uses for a down block. It's just taking your techniques and going more in depth with it. So as you get higher in your dan ranks, you just kind of have a deeper understanding of what you're doing. My instructor, Grandmaster Dave McNeil, he's phenomenal to watch. He's a master of efficiency, and that efficiency is what I tell my advanced black belts. This is where I want you to be. I don't want you to, I want you to stay in physical health and peak physical condition at your age to be healthy, not detrimental to your health, but to stay safe, flexible, healthy. But I also want you to be efficient with that. And I think that's where so many people get so lost in the upper ranks. They get to the third, fourth degree. They're like, oh yeah, what else am I going to learn? What kata am I going to learn here? All these things. How many new cool kicks can I learn? What throw can I do? And it's like, watch the old masters. Watch them. How many jump spin hook kicks do you see them throwing? None. You don't. You see them throwing reverse punch, right? Day one martial arts technique. They're using it and you can't stop it. And jiu-jitsu is the same way. You look at I love Carlos Machado, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm an affiliate school, and what made me fall in love with Master Machado is that he's not teaching all these fancy stuff. He can do it, but when you watch him roll, he goes back to like basic fundamental jiu-jitsu, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It is absolutely amazing to watch a master like that work, and it gives me hope, and it opens up the door to so many other people that want to try martial arts. I said, well, I can't do those flashy stuff. I can't do those, the gainers. I can't do all those things. How am I going to be any good? Watch one of the old masters. It's achievable by anybody. It's just mastery of how you move. That's the black belt. Mastery of yourself. And I think that's what is so powerful about martial arts, is that it's fully inclusive. Not everybody can play basketball. Not everybody can play football. Everybody can do martial arts, and that's why I love it. So
Definitely. It's just you say about old masters there. It's one of our was one of the founders actually of our system. He's 85 now
mm,
and still would come in and train at times. And
yeah.
I remember I was talking about a tornado kick and he said they throw a tornado kick at him one time and I done it and he just stepped aside, kicked me in the shin and dropped me. And it barely moved. And he said the
Oh,
problem with tornado kick is it takes too long to do it.
yeah.
And it was just efficiency.
If
It's
exactly
it's
efficiency.
efficiency. He moved very little, whereas the movement I was doing was way too much apparently. But
Yeah, and it was in is intent when we're doing those like a tornado kick, and I love the athleticism
yeah,
of being able to do those flashy kicks. You know, the gymnastics mixes in the more extreme type martial arts. I'm fascinated with it, and mainly it's because I can't do it anymore. I'm getting old, but it's amazing stuff. I admire the athleticism it takes, but when you do all that stuff, if I'm doing it in like an sparring match, a tornado kick, I have to ask myself, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to score? Am I doing this so people can say, wow, that was a really cool kick?
yeah,
Am I serving the art or am I serving my ego? And
yeah.
that's, and earning street cred by kicking up somebody in the side of the head with a 720 is that pretty valuable. But
I think the older we get too, the more we want to do them kicks because we can't anymore.
exactly,
It's
exactly. Oh,
it's you always want what you can't get, but
yeah, very true. Very true. Wiser words have never been spoken. Man.
definitely. And what's your views on titles such as Sensei or I probably should be bringing this up in my YouTube channel, but
No, it's good.
Sensei.
It's, uh, again, you know, uh, it's funny. I've researched, like the Japanese uses of the terms of the titles, and they don't use them.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like it would be like going up to your teacher and being like, teacher Larry. It's not. It's
yeah,
it's it's kind of like, hey, I'm a mailman Jim.
yeah,
It's not what you would do. It's not how they speak. And I think a lot of times we get so used to tied up, into tradition. It's not really has anything to do with tradition. We
yeah,
get then we muddy the waters. And again, when we do that, it kind of becomes restrictive to people that are interested in martial arts but don't want to do all the weird fluff stuff.
yeah,
You know, people will call me, my title is Soke, but people don't know what that is. They're like, well, what is Soke? I don't know. Head of family. you know. So like on my YouTube channel, I'm coach.
yeah,
That's something that people can relate to. I'm coaching you. I'm trying to. I've done this. I want to help people get at least a couple steps further. Doesn't mean I'm the top dog. It just means that I'm here and you're here, and I want to get you past me. That's my job as a teacher. Sensei, we use that in our school. I have my staff uses sensei, and then I have shihan, for those who are heads of schools and at certain levels, certain ranks, 6th degree. It's just I think calling people master, shihan, hanshi, renshi, soke, those are great for respect, and I think people do them in the right way. But I also think a lot of instructors abuse them in the wrong way,
yeah,
demanding somebody show you respect. I don't think that paints martial arts in a very good light. But again, these are just my opinions. What do I know?
yeah.
So
That's it. I know in our federation now the titles would be given out every few years, whatever. You might maybe just kind of another notch on your belt, really, kind of
yeah,
thing. But day to day running those schools, they're never used. It's a few years ago I got awarded the title of sensei or whatever it was, but I don't think it's ever been used in any of my schools. It was
yeah,
it just
it's a
it's
honorary title, and it's something that you should take pride in. Like earning a professor.
yeah,
That's something that you've worked well over a decade for. You finally earned that title of professor. That's pretty awesome. Doctor, you know, those are very, the title should outline your responsibility to your school, to your system. It should just be kind of like the weight that you put on your shoulders. This is my job. I am honored and lucky enough. I get to, not have to, I get to lead this organization. I get to teach this student. I get to assist my instructor. And those titles should be accepted only if you're willing to do the work. And just like you, you're doing amazing work for the martial arts, bringing really good topics to light in a really amazing format. So I commend you. Thank you, Sensei.
And do you think it's important to try and encourage your students to surpass your own skill levels?
Oh yeah. If we don't, martial arts will die.
Yeah.
And I have always said this, and I had an instructor. I'm a geek just by nature. I love to geek out and stuff. Yeah. I had an instructor a long time ago. One of my first instructors says, "Oh, I'll always keep a little bit inside my sleeve. You'll never know about that." And I always thought that was a weird statement, And for any instructor that does that, please don't take any disrespect. I'm not disrespecting you. That's just, I just cannot understand it. As a teacher, I want to teach my students everything I can think of. And as I continue to learn, I teach them. I want them to surpass me, because if I keep a little bit in here, that little bit of information is now lost in my generation. Yeah. And then if my students do that to the next generation, a little bit more will be lost, and so on and so on and so on. And eventually martial arts will just be a muddied up, not making much sense, lost art. And we don't want to lose it. We want to preserve it. That's why stuff like this, stuff like, like my YouTube channel, stuff like, old videos of, I love watching old videos of different martial artists, Chuck Norris, Joe Louis, all these amazing martial artists, these old videos popping up on YouTube. Yeah. That preserves the legacy that the martial arts is. Can you imagine if we had, old videos of Jacarlo Kano or just amazing masters, just the originals. Yeah. Miyagi Sensei, being able to do this, to be able to show martial arts. The more we can give our students and encourage them to grow far beyond our capabilities, that ensures, that's the insurance for martial arts to continue on to grow and be prosper and to attract more people to it. We stand on the shoulders of giants. And I hope one day I have a couple of people standing on my shoulders saying, I helped them, do great things. So
definitely. I remember it was actually my first instructor as well. Always had the secret moves up his sleeve, and yeah, it's kind of over time it's just put me off, and I always kept it as something that's I used to kind of judge a martial arts school.
Yeah.
Really, are you going to teach me everything, or are you going to always hold back information? And I know the schools I'm with now, they're more or less on the opinion that they teach everything that they know. And if the student picks something up elsewhere, they're more than happy to learn from the students as well, which
yes,
it's great to see. I know a lot of our students went off and done Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're coming in and telling us about the technique they learned last week.
Yes.
And we're teach us. So the student becomes a teacher for the class.
Exactly. Oh, see, I get so excited about this. I get goosebumps just because in my art in Goju Shori, there's kanji that we have. It's very sacred. I don't have it right next to me right now. I would show it. But it's people who teach and train together become family. Yeah. And what it means is that, we don't want just to be closed off into our own little system. We encourage students. I want you to learn other things. I want you to try new stuff. Bring it back, because as we get together as martial artists, the funny thing is every technique I learn in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm a purple belt in the Carlos Machado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Association. And every time I learn something, I can pair it with something in karate.
Yeah.
There's very few movements between the arts that aren't, like that are just sacred to that art. A lot of it is very similar. And you find, especially like, in boxing, and the footwork in boxing is very similar to the footwork in Aikido. It's weird. It's just, the movements that we do in, karate are similar to some of the movements that we do for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with, collar grips and sleeve grips. And it's just how you do things. So the more you get in and train, the more people you can get to experience different arts. I think the better understanding of not only that art, but your own art you'll get as well, which is really cool. And I think, and the more clarity we can get in the martial arts, the closer that we move towards really becoming one giant family, which I think is something we desperately need. So,
definitely. No. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you again, Larry, and I think we've managed to maybe scratch through without any controversy on the topic, but
we'll see.
We'll see in the comments over the next week.
Well, I really, really appreciate you doing all the work that you're doing. I love your channel. I love what you're doing. I love how you're talking with all these amazing martial artists. I geek out on it. So thank you.
I'm very much the same. I'm always trying to find my heroes to get on, but it's great to be able to speak to people all around the world and discuss these topics.
It needs to be discussed. Now we need to talk about it, and hopefully we spark some ideas, and hopefully we can grow as a community. So
definitely, and thank you.